Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Chain Live. My name is Matt Drake. This is episode 89. Whew, a bit rushed there for a moment. Getting ready. As I was
busy week. What have you been up to?
Sorry?
A busy week. What have you been up to?
Oh, everything. Have I played any disc golf? I have. Yeah, went down to Wainui again last weekend. That was fun. It's just been a busy week, and a busy day today has meant that a little bit late in getting stuff organized. But we're here, we're doing it now, so that's good. How are you?
I'm great. These late night evenings are awesome. I got in a quick 10 holes at Barrenpore this evening, which was nice. Pretty much had the course to myself, threw every disc in my bag, added a couple new ones, enjoyed the nice brisk southerly that was out there. That was fun. Other than that, looking forward to the weekend. Finally back in the capital. There's Heiser this weekend out in Upper Hutt. So I'll be out there on Saturday. I got some coaching in Social League on Sunday. So yeah, it'll be good to be back on the local courses. It should be good.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at so you've got some disc golf this weekend. I'm going to try and get out myself at some point, and it's going to be a good time. Talking of good time, tonight's episode, we've got hot scores coming up from around the country. Then we'll bring in our guest, Connor McKinstry. He won the Taupo Thermal Throwdown last weekend. So we'll talk to Connor about all those kind of things, and also the Discmania 1 in 4, which is continuing to go, but we've not really heard a huge amount on it, certainly on social media channels anyway. So we'll check in with Connor to see how that's going. And then we're going to go through our Disc Golf Pro Tour picks for the Tour Championship, which takes place this weekend, and also going to be doing our picks for Twizel, which is also Moonbase 8, which is also happening this weekend as well. We've also got a few notices on some upcoming, or one particular upcoming episode that we wanted to talk to people about as well. So without further ado, let's get into hot scores. Brady, take us through the South.
Take us through the South. As ever, we are starting at Invercargill in Queen's Park. And I must say it has finally been done. Jackson Sullivan has been in Invercargill installing the course that will be used in nationals, and he played Queen's Park this weekend and has set the course record. The course record now stands at 18 under par. The perfect round in Queenstown Park has been hit. Congratulations, Jackson. It is the all-time course record. Well done, Jackson.
Do we know if that was birdies on every hole? Because there's a couple of South Island par 4s down there that are like, is it a par 4? Probably not.
Yeah. If any of you Invercargill boys are watching, feel free to share it. Jackson, I haven't seen him post it on social media yet. I normally follow and catch most of that stuff, so I haven't seen him share his scorecard. So I'll let you know when I do. But I don't know. It could be one of those, like a Paul Macbeth classic 1 par, 1 eagle kind of deal. We'll have to see. Jackson, if you're watching or listening, feel free to share it in the comments at some stage. That'd be great. But hey, let's keep the hot rounds rolling. Let's go up to Dunedin, Chingford Park. Andrew Fleming and Sergey coming in at -6 this week. Well done there. Out to Brockville, we got Dylan Deadman Nahui coming in at -5. Over to the Queenstown Gardens, Lake Wakatipu, Andy O'Connell shoots the hot round this week with an 8 under par. And at Tucker's Beach, Akira Kuro comes in at +2 for the hot round beachside. Over the Crown Range, Wanaka and Ely Point, Jeremy Palmer shoots the hot round this week at -4. And at Lismore, Ben Quinn comes in at -9. Looks like Ryan Cambridge took the week off. Up in the Garden City, Jelly Park, Jeremy Brockenshire is getting it done with a 13 under par. Well done there. Out at Brooker Ave, John O'Scott shoots the hot round of -4. In Queen's Park Reserve, Dre shoots a -6. Rounding out the South Island and Warren Park, Dwayne Fisher shoots an 11 under par at the new 18-hole course. Matt, take us through the North.
Starting off at Barrenpore, Brett Carlisle shoots a 6 under par at Barrenpore. Well done to Brett. And over at Hikoikoi, a new name for us, Ben Morrison hits a very respectable 5 under par. Over to Hardcore Park, and it's Dan Smith who hits +5. And up at Linklater, Ephraim Russell, Arthur Horn, and Galal Brizzle doing everything they can to not beat each other, tying as they did 5 under par. Over to Maryland's, and it's our guest tonight, Conor McKinstry, who hits 5 under par. And Conor McKinstry also hit the hot score at Spa Park as well with a 7 under par. So well done to Conor. Over at McLaren's, Josh Pratt hits +1, and Chris Townsley does enough at Henderson to shoot 11 under par and take the hot round out for this week. So some pretty good scores from up and down the country. This last weekend saw the Taupo Thermal Throwdown. We're going to go through just some of those results now before we bring our guest on. And then we'll talk to him about what his experience was. So here we go. The results from the weekend in MPO, Conor McKinstry takes out by 5 shots over Francis and Toby Gentle, who tied in second. And then Andy Davey taking 4th, Brady in 5th, and Dane Sales in 6th. Josh Pratt takes out the advanced division by some distance. Victoria Speller wins the FA1 division by 14 shots. And Sean Ashford takes out the MA40 in a close contest. So our guest this evening, let's bring him on. Good evening, Conor.
Evening, gents. How are we?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. How's things going down south?
It's not bad at all, thanks. And things going very well for you up north. It seems that it was a North Island tournament, so you did very, very well.
Yeah, seems to have that presence. Taupo was good fun, man. The Taupo Disc Golf Club over there, and they run an awesome event. They did it North Islands earlier in the year, and they've done again here with Spa Park. They're very efficient. Steve and Ken there, they're onto it, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're kind of following in their footsteps a little bit. So yeah, they did North Island Champs, and this was kind of their first like club run event, and you're kind of doing the same of like, you guys had North Island Champs a couple weeks ago and then have the Egg Monster coming up. Is there anything that you learned from this past weekend that you'll take into your own event in Jan?
Yeah, cool. So we definitely had North Islands a couple of years ago now in Inglewood. Awesome. I think it was the first disc golf course in New Zealand at the point in time back then, and since then we've been playing it non-stop, and it's such a beautiful course. And now we have the Egg Monster coming up 7th and 8th in January. Regos are still open. We've still got 30 or 40 spots left for that, so we'd love to fill it out. It's just going to be a cracking event. We're planning to have this as an annual event going on, and it's definitely going to be one of those spots on the New Zealand tour that's going to be a can't miss sort of situation.
And is that going to be on the same course as North Island Champs was? Was it 2019? Was it 2019?
Yeah, same course, but we're adding a little bit more challenge. So I think looking back at it back then, I won and that's the growth of disc golf in New Zealand. I won it back then with a NIG 7 over 3 rounds, and looking forward to it now. Nowadays we're hitting NIG 8, NIG 10 consistently every round. So we are going to add some difficulty to the tournament. There's going to be OB lines off fences, and there's going to be the occasional island hole and the extra mando handed in. But it's at the moment it's a course for a long thrower, but the tournament will be a course for a long thrower who throws accurate as such.
Yeah. I remember it was a very enjoyed that tournament. It was my first away tournament, if you like, and very much enjoyed it.
I actually don't know if you know, Matt, but we've actually recruited. Brady is actually going to be TD for this event. We've asked him to come and help out, and so your co-host Brady is stepping in as TD. He's going to help us out. We've got a very keen and very young in terms of the experience we've got as a club. So we're just pitching in off what Brady's run for Nationals last year and his experience in the game as a TD. So we've asked him to come on board and help us with this event, and then we'll be off. So looking forward to it.
I think that's a great idea. So, I just want to rewind back to Taupo a second, because I was kind of following it. I was following the scores along, and it took. I mean, you were in the lead after the first round by 2 shots, and then it was really the second round that you kind of got going, and that was on the black course, which is for people who know, it's slightly longer than the red course. It's about 200 meters longer. So do you find that that's when, like, your advantage, which I think you describe as being able to throw far, is that where you felt that your advantage really was kind of magnified?
To go even one step further back was Tauranga 2 weekends ago, and when we played Tauranga, that was my. I've taken 3 or 4 months off up until then. Work's been super busy, and I figured that was the only time on the tour I'm going to get time off, and then try and build myself up to nationals and stuff in March. So I took 3 or 4 months off, and then we played Tauranga, and I was very unhappy with how I had played. It wasn't my best performance. So the last 2 weeks in between, I've hit the field multiple times, and we finally got to a point where we went into Taupo, and I was happy with how I was throwing. And then the putting sort of just came along with it. It still needs improvement. But I think I came in late Friday night to Taupo after work. We got up early and we played the red course and did okay and shot our 6 down there. And then I was comfortable, and we went into the black course in the afternoon and shot 7 down on the black course, and that was where we all started, and that's where I got my lead, I think.
Yeah, and I'm pretty solid as well. So it's 995, 997, and 978 were your 3 rounds. So pretty solid. That would have done well on any course.
Yeah,
that you
agreed. I was happy to put. Like I said, I was just after that poor weekend in Tauranga, I was happy to just put together a consistent round. My goal wasn't. It was always coming in to win this tournament, but my goal was to shoot some consistently good golf. Like, I didn't want any poor 9. I think I had a 920 or something around in Tauranga, which isn't the standard I held myself to. So it was good to shoot consistent golf.
Yeah.
Well, and that's for players out there, like, who are trying to improve, like these tournaments are only 2 weeks apart, and I remember catching up with you in Tauranga, and you're like, oh man, my putt's terrible. And you said that your putt's starting to come right in Taupo. So, like, what have you done over the past couple of weeks to kind of save those strokes, to improve your putting, to bring that consistency into the putting green?
So, I think I remember we chatted in Tauranga, and I told you I'd literally been practicing 100, 200 putts every day for about 4 weeks leading up to Tauranga. And I got to Tauranga, and everything was just a shambles, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I just stepped away and came back here and carried on putting and carried on just minor adjustments in how I released the disc, and got to Taupo, and everything started to click. So I don't know, I'm a big one of practice. Sometimes it's not going to come out, but if you just keep going with your practice, eventually it's going to fall into place. And it did this last weekend. Yeah.
I think that's a really, really important point to make, and something that's consistent amongst yourself, amongst the youngsters down in Christchurch who are doing very well at the moment, is that I think people will talk about, someone's naturally good. This guy can naturally throw far, and it's rubbish, quite frankly. What they do is they practice. They get out in the field and they spend time practicing, and that's I think okay, there might be some kind of very, very broad natural limitations set by your own body, but generally speaking, it's how many times you've been out and practice that putt. So that's been you, is it, for the last few weeks, trying to hit
I'd say so.
1,500 putts
as you'll see on the T-Box media that comes out, my putt still isn't anywhere near where I want it to be. But the difference between here and Taupo was I was hitting the greens. I was throwing well. I was putting myself at, that 12 to 7 meters every time. And it just happened to be at Taupo I'd connect enough times to get there. But my throwing starting to improve a lot more. And I think it's just the time off and getting back into it. And now we're into the swing of things. I think my plan here from forward is to really crack down. I don't have another tournament until early January, which is the Taranaki one. So my plan's really to just hit the field and hit the Inglewood course for the next 2 or 3 months, and slowly work my way up into peaking, and when we come to South Island and North Islands and so on.
Yeah, I mean those 3 tournaments, I think they're in everybody's calendar. There's been a big build up to them, and they're all grouped quite close together. Which, say what you like about whether that's good or bad, or it obviously costs a lot of money in a short space of time, which is prohibitive for some people. But however, it really sets up to be a triple whammy, bang 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 of top tournaments that everybody's going to be at. So you're going to take some time off before Egg Monster.
I think the only tournament in the North, that I can realistically go to in the North Island is Fault Line coming up, and I just have something else planned that weekend. So could not make that one. But the other thing is just I don't mind. I'm happy where I am. I'm happy to hit the field, work my way up. Taranaki's going to be a good one. I do believe I've got what it takes to win that one, being the home local and everything. So smashing that one out and then heading down south, I'm going to have some good momentum.
Well, and I'm actually curious too, because this is your first win since the win at North Island Champs, is it not?
Yeah.
So the idea of you're also going into as defending champion. So what's it like mindset wise to kind of be chasing for a while to finally get a second win, and then now be taking that second win into trying to defend your title on the home course?
Yeah, good point. It has been a little while. Like I think the 22, like the last year's tour, I had a whole bunch of top 5 finishes but no wins. And there was a couple tournaments where I really put myself in front and I said, yeah, this is going to be the one I win. It just didn't come together. So it was nice to I wasn't even supposed to play Taupo, I don't think. I was just playing really poorly at Tauranga, and TD Steve came up to me and said, hey, do you want to come play Taupo? We would love to have you there. There's a couple of spots left. And I was just like, at that point, I was like, yeah, I need to get this one out of my mind. I need to play a good tournament. So it was good to go and get this one done. And I'm definitely going to carry that over into Inglewood. And I can't see myself slowing down at this point. We're full steam ahead.
Well, and speaking of full steam ahead, like Matt mentioned it a little bit before, like you and I were on the 1 in 10, congratulations on making it to the 1 in 4. What has that been like? Has there been a lot going on? Is there anything coming up here, leading into those events next year? How's Discmania going these days?
Discmania is cool, man. They've been very, very supportive, not just in terms of financially, they are helping a lot, but the support we get in the background, we're a close team of 4, plus Leon and Phil and Avery Jenkins, who is helping us out as well. We're all a close team here, and it's been very good. We get the first picks on the discs that are coming out for Discmania, and we hit the field and we throw them and find out early if they want to make our bag or not. The one I'm looking forward to the most coming up is obviously South Islands, with Simon coming over to play in Avery. I believe being in our Discmania group here, we're going to be able to play practice round, if not 1 or 2, and hang out with Simon. So just learning off him firsthand is going to be wicked. It'd be awesome to make one of his YouTube blogs, and but just playing a practice round with Simon on the Hagley Park course that's going to be put up is going to make a complete difference to how I probably attack the course. Insiders like that with a pro is once in a lifetime stuff that you're going to get. So I plan to just soak it all up and learn. Great advantage that I've got. I feel very privileged to be in this group.
especially from someone like Lizotte, who's got a, he's not just very good at what he does. He's not just that, but he also he also thinks differently. Is my point, right? So
Yes, true.
I mean, he doesn't. People don't talk about Simon lines for nothing, right? There's obviously plays that, and yeah, sure, his arm allows him, his technique and his timing allows him to play shots that perhaps wouldn't be successful for other people, but. Yeah, I think you're in a great position there to learn some new stuff and approach some of the holes at South Island Champs maybe a little differently to how your competitors will.
And absolutely, like I would never go as far and say that I model my game off Simon, but Simon lines are open areas and there's shots that no one ever takes, and I find that the Inglewood course in New Plymouth, it's open, it's long. Like a lot of my shots are to gain the most distance possible and then attack, sort of thing. I find myself a lot of gaining shots, just it is Simon lines a lot. Like I don't model my game off him at all, but watching him play in person will add a lot to my game, I think.
I mean, we don't know what the Hagley Park course looks like yet. At least I haven't seen any publicly released map.
No, neither.
I've got it. But I'm expecting park golf. So I'm expecting a few trees, but I'm not expecting the wide open fairways you might find on a ball golf course.
Yeah.
So I know you've done like Desert Island disc golf with us before and that kind of stuff, but like here's a bit to give some shout out to Discmania. Like at Taupo, at your win, and as you start to come into the major season, what are some of the discs you've been leaning on that have really been your like go-to and your workhorses of like, I can trust this when this is in my hand, I know where it's going. This is like old reliable.
Cool. All right. Well, I was leaning on the Razor Claw 2 a lot. Before Taupo, but Taupo, I finally found a spot for it in my bag, and I'm finally relying on it. I can know how it flies. It took me a couple months, but I'm into it. The Sky God 4 as an upshot and putter disc. You'll see on T-Box Media, it got me out of a bit of trouble a few times, and I'm finally getting that into my bag fluently. And also the MD. The MD is just, that's turned into my gap hitter. There's 2 or 3 holes, Brady, as you know, at Taupo, which are fully wooded, and completely different approach this time around. I decided MD, I know I can hit my gap when I want it. I take that disc to it, I put it on hyzer, I let it flip up, and it just flies down the middle of the gaps. And you'll see that on T-Box Media every time. I managed to hit the gap once I got up there for the birdie down the woods, and the other one was just a little pitch up. But the MD and the Sky God 4, I've found a spot for it in my bag. It's taken a little while, but they are now definitely one of my most consistent discs.
And you still putting with P2s?
Still putting with P2s. They're beaten into a spot now that I'm very happy with. It's that scary moment though that I should really buy a couple more right now and start beating them in, because if I leave it too long, we're still going to turn into something else.
Yeah, you need that conveyor belt of
absolutely. But the P2s absolutely are still working with. And I'm really enjoying the Cloudbreaker 3s. The new Cloudbreaker 3s are my main distance drivers at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that you were one of the few people who hole 12 was like roughly 121, 124 meters or something. I'm pretty sure you had a tip on it on every round.
Yeah.
Did you two it every round?
Sorry?
Did you two it every round?
No, I got the 2 on the first round where it was a 4.
Yeah.
And the next 2 rounds, I put myself right behind that tree on the left to pin high, and didn't have a look. So something to learn going into. That was the other thing about playing Taupo this time is I know Mikey got me last time at North Islands, and I don't get the chance to come over here and play Taupo much. So really using it as an opportunity to practice the course going into North Islands coming up in March.
And just go back to the Cloudbreaker 3, you're probably one of the only people who throws them as opposed to putting them on the wall, which is a little hint towards a future episode. However, the how does it differ from a Cloudbreaker 2?
My Cloudbreaker 3, I think, is more. How does it fly? It flies. I don't know. I really like the old Discmania DD3s. The old ones that the Innova run, not the new DD3s, and it sort of flips up nicely like that and glides through. I haven't found somewhere where I'm turning it over heaps yet. So the two I've got are still in really good condition and still flip up nicely and fly that nice straight line.
Well, because you were throwing Enigmas on a hyzer flip last year, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely was flying. I still bag a couple of Enigmas. One of them's turned into a roller now. And the other one I still am using for long turnover shots. But if I'm, long turnover shots in Inglewood, absolutely, there's no trees, right? It's open field.
Yeah.
But if I'm throwing something where I've got to hit a gap at distance, it's now the Cloudbreaker 3.
Excellent. And so, looking forward, then you've got you're gonna have some time off. Then there's Egg Monster in January, and then obviously the three big ones is the next time we're going to see you.
Yeah, I think so. And then I'll finish my tour off with the standard North Island Central run of Taupo to Nui, Tikawiti, Rotorua maybe coming up. I'm not sure. See what the schedule gives me, and I'll make as many as I can.
Yeah.
That's the brilliant thing about being in this Discmania 1 and 4 is pushes you to get to more and more events, and they're willing to help you, and it's great.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll hear more about the 1 in 4 as kind of the year comes to a close, and we get kind of closer to the announcement of who's gonna be the 1 in 4. Excellent stuff. Okay, look, Connor. Well, you've done Desert Island disc golf with us before, so we're not going to do that unless you've got any discs that are particularly you'd swap in for anything. So yeah, look, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to speak to you, and we look forward to seeing how you get on, and obviously looking forward to seeing how you get on at nationals and the 3 big tournaments. Next year.
Awesome. Thanks heaps for having me, and it'd be brilliant to see some more entries come in for the Egg Monster. Get to it. It's going to be one of the best courses in New Zealand to play, and we'll see you guys there. Thanks for having me, guys.
All good. Yep. Cheers, Connor.
Cheers, Connor. Good to see you, brother.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah. So, there we are. Connor talked about the Egg Monster. That's the 7th and 8th of January. So if you want to get involved in that, head over to Disc Golf Scene and sign up. There's still some registrations available for that one. Inglewood is a fantastic course, very welcoming golf club that tournament's going to be played on, and there's something for everyone. I know Connor mentioned that it's a course for big arms, but please don't let that put you off. I went there and had a great time. And there's certainly some holes that are challenging, but there's also some more technical ones as well, for a little bit for everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Connor used to give me crap. I remember when we played on a card together at North Island Champs, and he's like, "You birdied the 3 hardest holes on the course. How are you not like 6 or 7 down right now?" Because I couldn't birdie the short ones. I could only birdie like the par 4s and the par 5s. Because, there is some technical shots there in the middle and hitting gaps and that kind of stuff. And I remember Connor had those to a T. So, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to the battle. I'm looking forward to pass on some knowledge. Yeah, the club reached out and said, "Hey, Brady, would you like to come up and mentor us a little bit and pass on some of that knowledge? We want to start hosting our own event. So would you mind bringing in some of your experience and teaching us some things?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to." So, going up and making that work. So yeah, it'll be fun to have, they have such a great crew up there. I've met and know a lot of the boys. There's great banter. I love sharing cards with any of the Taranaki boys. So yeah, it's going to be a good, fun weekend. I'd highly suggest going out. It's arguably one of the best courses in the country. Like you said, it's on a perfectly manicured golf course. It's probably one of the best golf courses in the country. It's super beautiful and stunning. You're not going to lose a disc, like it's just going to be fun. Playing it in January is going to be stunning. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we played it in November, and it was a little bit drizzly on one of the days from memory. But in January, I can imagine it's just going to be blazing hot sunshine. You'll have the mountain in the background, and it's just fantastic. So yeah, I'd certainly recommend. I know it's just after New Year, Christmas and New Year, which is an expensive time for some people, and it's not it's not in that kind of trio in February, March, but if you can possibly get to Taranaki for that tournament, then it's going to be a good time. Excellent, right? Then we got a few things we wanted to cover in the way of news. In terms of an upcoming episode, we're going to something which is one of the reasons why disc golf, and you can change my mind here, Brady, if you want to try to. One of the reasons why disc golf is the best sport is that it's not just, it doesn't just reach from a kind of an athletic prowess perspective. It's more of a skill-based game, if you ask me. But it's not just the idea that you can play well, but actually a lot of the equipment that we use is quite collectible. Right, so some of the discs that you see on the wall behind me, some of the discs that you see posted on Facebook groups, and we put one on. We will have one on the show before our first run, Casterplast Mint Berg, that went for $3,500 or something. It was like US dollars as well, over 5,000 New Zealand dollars for one disc. And that is there's a big collector's market out there. Brady's shaking his head. And whether you choose to go into this or not, whether you choose to invest in discs as collector's items or not, you can't deny that it exists. The market for it. So we're going to have an episode, maybe next week or maybe the week after, where we talk to a bunch of people who are really invested in the collecting side of disc golf, as well as the playing side. They are mostly our players as well, but we want to talk to people about the collecting side, because if it's something that you're particularly interested in, then you may want to tune in for that episode to hear a little bit more about it.
Well, let's do it on the 27th. Let's do it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We'll call it. It'll be a trick or treat episode. So the idea is.
Okay.
The collector disc, is it a treat? Is it a collectible? Is it worth money? Is it something you should be holding on to? Or is it just a trip, like a sucker bet, like, why do you still have that? Move it on, throw it, give it to your dog,
We're certainly going to be covering off some of those, but I also want to get into some experts, at least some very experienced collectors within New Zealand to talk to us about how you should store discs, how you should keep them in terms of collector's items. I'm sure that the wall behind me is making a lot of people cringe from a collecting standpoint, because none of them are in bags, and there's a danger that sunlight gets onto them and discolors them, whatever else. There's lots of reasons for it. All right, but these, there again, I'm never going to sell these, so I to me, the value of them, it really doesn't matter, because anything, whether you're into collecting or not, is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And because I'm never going to sell them, no one will be able to put that value up against them. So it's going to be a good episode, because we're going to cover lots of different aspects, not just about what are the discs to look out for, but what things to look out for when you're purchasing a disc as a collector's item, how to get involved in the collecting kind of space, if that's something that you figure that you'd like to do, and how you should kind of go about it in terms of storing your discs, maximizing value, and everything else. We'll also see if we can find some. We'll also do a bit of a quiz in terms of how much do we think this disc is worth with some of the guests. That could be a bit of fun. So we put the call out a few weeks ago on the New Zealand Collectors Facebook group. But if you didn't respond to that, or you didn't see it, or whatever, and you're keen to be involved, then get in touch with myself or Brady, and we'll have a look at having you on. We can't have everyone on, obviously, but we'll have a panel on of experts who'll be able to talk us through.
Heck, let's name it now. If you or a friend are a collector, tag someone you know as a collector in the comments below. So like if you know someone who collects discs, so they have like that super pearly, minty yawn somewhere, tag them in the comments. If they have, like a collection of mini Lunas or mini Discraft discs, you should tag them in the comments below. Or, someone's been hanging on to 6 Cloudbreaker 3s or 17 War Pigs and lives in Nelson, make sure you tag them below. So yeah, if you know a collector, tag them in the comments.
Indeed. Excellent. So that's an upcoming episode. Look out for that one in 2 weeks' time. Just cycle back to the Discmania 1 in 4, I should say. Obviously, Sebastian Falconer, Ben Willake, Conor McKinstry, and Ashton Clark involved in that 4. We'll get on to the rankings in a minute. Conor McKinstry is the highest ranked of the 4, in 9th place currently. He's up 7 spots, I think, following the win in Taupo. 1 spot ahead of Ben Willake in 10th. Ashton Clark is sneaks into the top 20 in 19th place, and Sebastian Falconer is in 31st. So where do you see this one going, Brady? What have you witnessed from the Discmania 1 in 4 guys?
Oh shoot. I'll be honest about it. I haven't seen much. I haven't seen anything at all. So Ashton's still playing, which is good. But he doesn't necessarily seem to have that. He seemed to be making, I feel like he was making more podiums last year as 1 in 10 than he has this year as 1 in 4. For the Paul Macbeth, I noticed that he was up in Nelson and he won that event, but he wasn't in Christchurch against the big Christchurch boys, i.e. Jay and Joe. Kana pulling out the win in Taupo is a pretty big win. He did so kind of comfortably with nearly 1,000 rated rounds, so that's going to be showing really well. Sebastian Falconer, I mentioned it a couple weeks back on the show, stepped up to MPO for Nelson. I believe the point of this was who's going to get a pro contract, like who can step up and play in the pros or make it in the States. And arguably the only 2 that I see at the moment would be Ashton and Kana, and Kana still, like he mentioned, has to prove it against the big boys. He has top 10 finishes. He finished top 5 at nationals, which was great. But, pushing for that win and kind of breaking that 1,000 rated, is still kind of, Kana's still working towards that. Ashton's still working towards that, arguably, Ben Willake plays well on the big stages, but he bikes a lot. He doesn't disc golf as much anymore. So, he could still make a big splash and come through when it comes to nationals and that kind of stuff. But arguably, I would say Kana is your front runner. So, if anyone's going to get this kind of, push and nod and that kind of stuff, Kana's competing, and Kana's playing the big events and playing some of the smaller ones and still playing well. Ashton's arguably doing those same things. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see the criteria, it came up with the whole selection of the 1 in the 4 in the first place. How did they get chosen over the other 6? You know what I mean? And so it'll be interesting to see what criteria they will base their choice on or choices. I don't know if it's going down to 2. I don't know if it's going down to 1. But, I think this win for Kana is a really good move for him. And that he did well when it comes to earning points towards this contract or whatever is going to be at the end of this.
Hard. Yeah. I mean, in a way, you kind of want these free tournaments that are at the sort of first quarter of next year to be part of this process. Because I think all 4 of them are playing in all 3 events. I could be wrong there. But certainly you'd expect. Let's just have a quick check, actually. So Ashton's playing in all 3 of them. Connor's playing in all 3 of them, he said earlier on. We've got Sebastian and Ashton playing this weekend in Twisel. So I should imagine that Sebastian's playing in all 3. He is. So let's just check Ben Willake. I'm sure I've seen him in Nationals, and he'll also be playing the Christchurch one, I should imagine.
But it doesn't look like he's playing in North Island.
But not playing in North Island. So no. I mean, Nationals is going to be the one, right? That's I think the one that everyone's going to want to be at, and obviously people will want to put in a good showing because Simon and Avery are going to be there in February, but it could all be too late by then. We don't know on some of the dates. Maybe we should find this out. What I have noticed is Sebastian is still churning out some social media content. So he's still probably the most active one of the 4, I would say, on social media.
Yeah, Ashton usually will post recaps of the events he attends.
Mm-hmm.
Kana has been doing some posts, so he's in all of the whole previews when it comes to the Egg Monster here in January. So he has started to have a bit of a push when it comes to that, more of a presence online. Being on the show again is going to help his cause. Everything helps, right? Yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting. You're absolutely right, and spot on with some of the points you're making. It'll be something that we need to we'll cover in more detail later on this year. Let's have a look at the picks for this weekend. It's Moonbase is this weekend. Let me grab this is it here. A pretty stacked field, in fairness. Let me get can I get it? Is this the one? There it is. Pretty stacked field for Moonbase.
Well, yeah, because all of the RPM boys are down because they were installing Invercargill, and they did it so that they could go up and play Moonbase.
So you've got Levi, Joseph, and Joseph Berry, who've obviously been playing very well recently. You've got Simon and Jacko.
Shoot.
What's that? What have you seen?
Levi, Simon, Jackson, Dave, Joe, Jasper can play well. Ryan, Ethan, Ashton, Jeremy.
Yeah, John Hughes is solid, and that's even before you get down to Roberts, who's capable of putting a good few rounds in a tournament together, right? So and there's how many people rated higher than him in that list? Look, it's a stacked field at Moonbase this weekend. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting because I know that Moonbase does well about having some big open holes, but there's also some tight wooded holes as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I know that Joseph tends to play better in the open. He still played well, and arguably he played when he won Tauranga, and he won Tauranga by playing the 21 holes well. He didn't play as well on the open holes, but he had enough of a lead from the woods. It'll be interesting to see, can he bring in, can he go 3 for 3 coming up against Levi, Simon, and Jackson? Yeah, it'll be, I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of see that kind of 5 through 10, arguably probably Levi, Jackson, and Joe, will kind of be up there in your top 3 and 4, but I really want to see who's going to round out and who's going to put together a good weekend for that 6 through 10 spot. Is Dave Keene, he just dropped off the rankings, but he was in the top 10 for ages. Is he going to put together a good round and play well on the weekend? Like you said, John Hughes and Roberts can both put together good rounds, but can they put together a full weekend? John Hughes played well and was lead card at Armageddon. Is he going to do that again here for Twisel? Yeah, so it should be a great weekend. I kind of wish I was going now. That'd just be great to watch. Do we know? Is there have you heard of coverage?
I've not heard of coverage. No, I've not heard of coverage. But I don't. Yeah, so if anyone is covering it, then let us know. And we haven't even spoken about Ryan Cambridge, who is very capable of putting together some good shots, and it's his part of the country as well. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's
look,
go. My dark
who's
horse pick for the weekend. Let's go. Ryan Cambridge is going to win from the chase card.
Right. Okay. So go for your top 5 then. Give us a top 5, Brady.
Yeah, Levi, Simon, Jackson, Joe, Ryan.
In that order?
No, Ryan's winning from the chase card, remember?
Ryan's winning from the chase card. Okay.
So Simon's going to be 5th. Jackson's going to be 4th. Levi 3rd. Joe 2nd. Ryan's going to win.
Wow. Okay, there we go. There we are. I mean, I think it's going to be great. So I'm going to take Levi to win. I'm going to have Jackson in 2nd. I'm putting Joseph in 3rd. I think those 3 are going to be incredibly tight, though, right? Because you don't show up at Invercargill. And I know Invercargill's a nice course for people to get started on and stuff, but 18 down is not people don't do it. And then I'm going to go 4th place, Simon in 4th, and then Ryan Cambridge in 5th. So that, would I be surprised if Ethan, Ashton, John, Dave Keane, any of these Jasper put in a round and surprise us all and make it onto a podium? Absolutely not. It's an absolutely stacked field. So we'll be watching this one very intently.
Let's have a look. It's going to be the highest rated round on the weekend.
Say again.
What's it going to be rated?
What's the highest rated round at the weekend?
Yep. It's going to be a what?
I think Levi will hit a 10:22 rated round.
Okay.
There you go.
You heard it here first. Levi's hitting a 10:22.
In FPO, Haley, Stephanie, and Echo make the 3 in the FPO division, and we've got a few in advanced as well. I suspect that I actually think Eilish could do very well here, and probably come close to challenging Haley as for the overall ladies. I don't think it's too long before that happens, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be good to see them on the battle. Their ratings are right there. Eilish is coming off that win at Armageddon, so that'll be good.
Yeah, she's got several wins so far this season. Let's have just a quick scout at the some of the other divisions. MP40 again, pretty stacked division. I mean that top 4 on its own is pretty stacked before you even start looking further down. All of whom are capable of making a charge. This is a great kind of teaser for what's coming next year, which Nationals next year is like a who's who of New Zealand disc golf. Everybody's going to be there. It's fantastic. Over in advanced, we mentioned it before. Sebastian Falconer is playing in this division, and by ratings at least has a lead over Cooper Solis of 2 shots a round. So in theory, he should win this tournament, or at least this division, by about 6 shots, right? Is it a 3-round tournament? I suspect, but we'll have to see, right? That's good. Yep. Jack Maffey's on the up and coming, off of his RPM sponsorship, and so there's lots of talent in this division also. Right. There's one other event going on this weekend, Brady. You might have seen
the Hardcore Heiser, 9:30 a.m. tag round up at Hardcore Park. That's happening this weekend.
It is. You're absolutely right. That is happening. Alongside that, in tandem with that, is the DGPT Championship Tour Championship. So I don't know how easy this is to see, actually. Now I've put it up on the screen, but there we go. Now they've listed Nico as being in the quarterfinals. Obviously, he got enough points before his ban to finish in the top 16 because he did very well in some tournaments at the beginning. But he won't be playing, right?
No, he's banned till next year. Like he get some time off, but for good behavior or whatever.
Yeah, so it's difficult to behave when you're not given the opportunity to behave. But yes, it's been reduced down to 6 months, I believe. This isn't PDGA sanctioned. Oh, that's a shout. It might not be. Might not be a sanctioned event. In which case he wouldn't necessarily be banned because it was a PDGA ban rather than a DGPT ban. So that's a fair point, Bray. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on that. So if you didn't see it earlier on, Jeremy Colling and who else made it through? Thomas Gilbert made it through to the as 2 of these 4. We'll have the other people will be dueling it out later tomorrow. Sorry, odd that Gannon Burr doesn't get into the top 16 given his tournaments this year, but that's is what it is. And so yeah, let's have your picks, Brady. Who do you think is going to make it through to the semi-finals?
4 of them. I have to pick 4 of them. Oh,
you've got to pick 4 out of those 8, and the guys on the left-hand side who haven't been eliminated already.
So Matty O is getting through. Chris Dickerson's getting through. Joel Freeman is getting through.
Agreed.
And man, I can't believe friggin' Burr's not getting through. And
well, he might do. He's going to qualify tomorrow, right? So if he gets through tomorrow morning, then he'll be playing on Saturday morning in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, because I was going to Chris Clemens has been kind of playing really well, so I thought he could sneakily get away with some good stuff. Yeah. Because they're playing in the woods. So Ezra's just out. Sorry. Let's go with Drew. I'll pick Drew for the 4. They'll make it to the semis. Okay.
All right. No, I can't disagree with you there. I think at least 3 of them are the same, and I fancy Gannon to get through just because he'll be on a high from last weekend.
Actually, that's a really good point. Do you see the list that you have, Matt? What's the year on top of this list?
2021. Why am I looking at this?
What year is it, Matt?
Oh, that's why he's not on the list. Right. Thank you to whoever pointed that out. Right, let's have a look. I've got the real one here. Promise.
Well, see, the best part is I know you're a dad, and the best part, because you said you're never selling those discs, I can see Devin's inheritance behind you.
Sorry? Oh, yeah.
Well, you're not selling your discs, so that all those discs are Devin's inheritance, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Let me see if I can.
If you can complete that little Latitude set, that'll be worth something by the time she's older.
Please, if anybody knows how to get hold of one of those, then I'd be grateful if you could put me onto it. Right, this one. Nope. Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. That's the FPO one. All right, someone send me a link.
So Nathan Queen won last year. Feel free, if you know and have the list, click it in the comments. Matt's struggling here. I haven't been following the championship that closely. I was enjoying watching the USDGC and Throw Pink championships. What a battle. Oh, my goodness. Did you watch any of that, Matt?
The USDGC?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Okay. I've got it. Yeah. Nope. There. We up? We're up. Here we go. Right. So, it doesn't. So in the 31 and 32 down the bottom there, that's Jeremy Colling and who did we say? Thomas Gilbert are in there.
See, that makes more sense.
Right.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, they haven't played yet. Where are you going there, brother?
So which 4 out of those 16 are going to make it into the quarters, do you think?
Drew's making it through. That's 1.
Yeah.
Nicholas Antilla, I think he's on a heater, so we'll give him 1.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't like him, but he plays well in the woods. I will give Jeremy Culling will make it one more round.
Yeah, look, if you saw any of the coverage this morning, it's a very forehand friendly course, and so obviously he's got a really good forehand. So yeah,
and so yeah, like, and I'll do it. This pick's for Ethan. It's definitely not for me because I don't like the guy, but he's got forehands for days. Adam Hammes, let's go with the Discraft boy. So yeah, those will be my 4.
all right, and then going through to the semis after that, you got anyone
Who you
who's
got?
gonna? Well, I'm going to say I think Conrad, I think Carl Klein, Aaron Gossage can play well on the big stage. We've seen that we've seen that before. I don't think Ezra Hadehold can do it, but I think there's every chance that someone like you could get a Colin go all the way through to the semis. And then who do you fancy from the semis to the finals? Who's on your lead card, on your final card?
Oh man, I don't know if I can even look past those top 4. Like Matty Oak has put together good stuff. Like Joel Freeman's put together good stuff. The problem is like they're coming in cold. Like that's the one hard thing about playing the semis. Like you get a bye for the first 2 days. So, like, arguably they'll be playing the course and like that kind of stuff. But it's like Ricky, Paul, Heimberg, and Gannon have both had, all of them have had great years. All of them have done well, like know how to start the tournament hot at the top. And so the idea of, you might have some of those other guys, but the consistency hasn't been there. That's why they're playing round 1 in the quarters. So it's Ricky, Paul, Calvin, Gannon. I'll take them top 4. That'll be a great final card.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to argue. I'd love to see Matty Oram do well, just because I like the guy, and so I'd like to see him in there. But no, I think you're probably right. It's going to be tough to it's going to be tough to find anybody to break in out of those. Now in FPO, which is here, I'll find it now.
You just had it.
I know, but then there it is. Right, in FPO, who do you like in FPO? There's the obvious ones.
What, like Kristen, Katrina Allen, Valerie Mahalajandros?
Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I want. That's what I wanted. Yeah, so Kristen Page, Katrina, and Owen Scoggins get a bye to the semi-finals.
Mm-hmm.
Henna Blomroos just got to go for a play-in, if you can believe that. So that's going to be that's interesting. That's already happened. So that I don't know who got through to there, but So who are you taking through to the final card, Brady?
I really want to take On. I've been liking On a lot. She plays well in the woods. Missy's going to be there for me. I don't think Paige is going to be there. She's not played well this year. So I'll go Kristen and Katrina then, or round out my 4.
Yeah. Interesting point about Paige. She's I saw a post earlier on. She's leading the PDGA player
in
of the
points,
year.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, people say, she's not had a good year, and yet a bit of recency bias perhaps coming in, but
Now what do you know what's giving her those points?
The major that she won at the beginning of the year.
Supposedly the live studio audience says it could be the number of events that she's played has been giving her that amount of points.
No, I don't think it is. I think what it is 2022. I've got that right. I think it's she won Texas State. She won the Champions Cup, which was a major. She won the OTB Open. She won the Preserve. She won the European Open, which was a major.
It's the 2 major wins.
Two major wins, right? I mean,
it's the same thing with Paul. Like Paul won World, so like that put him like well beyond reach of like pretty much every other player because they weight the majors so highly in the PDGA point system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then they should, right? We've had this discussion before, actually, about whether majors should be weighted more than the, you know, in the 50 points example. But yeah, that's the reason why 2 major wins and then 3 or 4 other wins.
Yeah,
so,
she won OTB, she won the Preserve, won the European Open. Yeah, 3rd at MVP.
You know, and you have to go back. You have to go back to July to find a finish outside the top 5. So it's you know, yeah. I think it's fair that she's there. To be honest, and there's every chance. And you look at the results this year. 2nd at the All-Star Weekend, 2nd at Las Vegas, 6th at Waco, 1st at the Texas States, won the Champions Cup. 7th, 5th, 1st, 4th, 1st. There's a lot of wins there. So yeah, I think it's just recently perhaps is changed. Right. Okay. I think that more or less wraps it up for us for today.
Was there any? You said you had some new information on an event coming up. Is that true? Insider knowledge on something?
Insider knowledge on something. What was that about?
You said you had new information when it came to like an upcoming event. Was that for like the fling? You know, like we've talked about that in the past.
Well, only the
fault line or something.
The fling, I got sent an invite. It's now on. There's a Facebook group for the fling. But actually, just before we go, let's go through the upcoming events because that will tell us a little bit more. And we'll go through the rankings as well, obviously, which people will want to know.
Yeah, I was going to say, were there any like big movements after Taupo?
No huge movements. No huge movements, but some. So in terms of upcoming events, it's Moonbase this weekend. And there's still spaces left, I think. Then it's the Beffels Coastal Classic the weekend after up in Auckland. And then the Wahitapu in Lake Ohau at the end of this month. Bros for Change Charity Classic. Drew Gibson will be along to that on the 12th and 13th of November. Temuka Tussle the week after, same weekend as Faultline Fury. Dare the Lake Christchurch Fling. And then Egg Monster and Roxburgh round out December, January. Wellington Centurion, which will be hosting again on Wellington anniversary. Heislander end of January, and then the Big Three, which now this is that you can buy tickets to the South Island one. It's now open. In terms of power rankings, Victoria Speller's win at Taupo moves her up 1 spot against over Nicola Stout, and Edwina Mandisotza, who finished 2nd in Taupo, climbs 7 spaces to 16th. Conor McKinstry has 7 spots up to 9th. And other movements in the top 20 down to people dropping out of the rankings due to number of tournaments played. So
T-Bone makes it into the top 20.
He does, yeah. So yeah, very good. And you know, deservedly so. I think I had a question during the week from someone about, you know, how are the rankings done, and we covered this in a past episode, but it's done based on where you finish in relation to how you're predicted to finish. So in the case of Trevor Woolman, finished 7th at North Island Champs last year, and then 7th at Paradise, and then 4th at Brook Park Brave, equals a when you compare it to the field of people he was playing against at those tournaments, equals 20th in the country. So and the way that these broadly work is that everybody's each player has a power rating. It's a number, and that number is compared against everybody else and their finishing positions. And then whether you move up or down in the rankings, or whether your power rating moves, depends on who you beat and their respective power ratings. It's exactly the same system, with the maths and the calculations behind it work in exactly the same way as the UDisc power rankings, UDisc world rankings work. What we did here, what the analytics team did here at Sweet Chair Music, is that they just brought it over and put it into New Zealand. How hard is it to see 21 to 50? Bray, you'll be pleased to know that actually, and this brings me on to maybe a second point, is that the Sweet Chair Music website has undergone a little bit of a refresh. It looks a little bit different to how it did previously. Hopefully, it's easy to navigate and to find what you want there. But the power rankings will be available on sweetchainmusic.co.nz very soon. So you'll be able to see further down. So you'll be able to see all the players, and I might do a top 100. How about that? How about a top 100? So Bray in 61st place, you'll be able to see your name there.
Ryan, I don't know if we have that many players in New Zealand on tour.
So,
sorry.
Well, no, I can tell you how far they go down in terms of players who are active, right? And so to be an active player, you need to have played more than 4 tournaments of the last 40. Okay. So in terms of being an active player, we go down, and there are all the way down to 211, right? So there's currently 211 what I've called active players. That's not the right phrase for it, but 211 players who have played at least 4 tournaments of the last 40, and those players are in the rankings. Now, if you've played 3 and then you play next week and that makes you the 4th, then you'll go back in. But where you were previously when you fell out doesn't disappear. You just don't appear on the rankings, right? So your number doesn't get reset. It doesn't go down to 0 or whatever. So if someone who's at the very top drops out of the rankings, but then plays an event which brings them back in. Dave Keen's a good example of this. Next week, he'll be back into the rankings because of how many events he's played. Then he'll go back in relative to how well he would have performed had he never left, right? So all the number of events does is hide you from the rankings to allow for the fact that you might, you haven't played the right amount of events to kind of qualify. We need, because else, for example, we got some very old players, not old players, but Damian Peters, for example, would be ranked like, where would he be ranked? He'd be ranked 14th in the country. He's not played for years, at least not. And Justin Workman would be currently ranked 5th. So yeah, I mean, it's got to do. The test flight tool on the website is clutch. Yeah, so this is cool. Should we do a quick preview? Actually, I know this is kind of blowing my own horn for a moment, but allow me to blow. If you've ever wanted to know what does a disc do, right? You can go on to sweetchainmusic.co.nz, which is this website here. This is kind of new, and you'll see all sorts of discs, and you can go and have a look at stuff, right? Anyway, but if you go to flight paths, which is this link here on the banner, what this does is this will show you the path that a disc will take. So Brady, give us a disc, something that everyone knows.
A buzz.
There you go. And then you add it to your bag. Now down here you can change how much power you're putting on it, right? And what that power will do, as you can see, is the power will change the shape of the shot, right? Showing you that if you overpower a buzz, you can turn it over like that, right? And if you put no power on it, then it will come back. Now, we'll cover this in a couple of weeks' time, but there's a thing also called a sleepy scale, which is the state of wear that the disc is in. So you can put the state of wear here, right? So if you've got a real beat-in buzz, what's your most beat-in buzz, Brady? Would you rate it on here? 4 or 5? 4 or 5. Not in your bag.
Yeah,
probably, but...
it's a 4.
It's a 4,
I don't
right?
bag it anymore. It's too flippy.
Well, let's have a look at how that changes. That you can see how that changes the shape of the disc, right? So now, in order to get that buzz to fly straight, you've got to throw it a lot softer, and it won't go as far, right? So if you're gonna throw, if you want this buzz, your beat-in buzz to throw straight, you've got to really power it down, and as a result, it won't travel as far. You can.
I don't know if I can throw a buzz that soft.
Like,
should I just putt with it then? Like, is that the only way I'm going to get it to go straight?
You can put labels on it if you want that tell you a little bit more about the kind of distance and stuff. And if you want to see paths of the disc for various powers, then you can do that without having to adjust the power down here. So all that does is just take you through here, right? And you can put a few discs in your bag. So an Onyx, which is quite overstable in comparison to a Buzz. You can put several in and see how they compare. You put your whole bag in if you want and see how it changes. So you can see an Onyx here. Up to let's take the pass off so we can see a bit clearer. If you had a real beat up Onyx in the same shape as Brady's Buzz, you're going to turn it over still, right? But a new one is going to be fairly stable. So yeah, have a look at that. Have a play around. See how you get on. I think we've got a lot of discs listed. There's a whole load of discs here from most of the. We got a load of RPM ones here. Probably if you're looking for like the new one, we got a Qatari. We don't have a Taupo on here yet. So we got most of the discs that kind of Sweet Chain Music stocks and ones that you might have seen or had a look at. So yeah, have a play and see how you get on. But it's meant to be a bit of fun. So yeah, hopefully a little bit of help if you get a bit stuck. Right. Anyway, that's about it for us this week. Wherever you're playing disc golf, take it easy, play well, get some birdies, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.